Allison Janney has been very busy the past year. It's been a Bad Education, continued her role in guest starring the Kominsky Method, and also was on the cast of Troop Zero. I'm Matt Noble of Gold Derby, here to ask you, Allison, I might you to start by talking about Bad Education. What's the most challenging thing about taking on that role of Pam?
I think, gosh, Matt, there was so much information, public record on Pam and what she had done and what she had, what kind of artwork, what all the money she had spent using the school funds, misappropriated school funds, embezzled. So much public record, but the challenge for me was filling in the why of it, the emotional and the why someone would cross those moral lines, and that was my job, and that was the most challenging because I didn't get to meet her or speak to her. I spoke to one person that Mike Mikowski, or the author, who knew Pam. So I spoke to him, and I knew that she was just someone who everybody loved, and I just found that fascinating to think, how could someone like that, who loved her job, who worked so hard, started as a bus driver and worked her way up to assistant, business, to her position with, why am I forgetting the name of the position right now? Assistant. Oh my God.
Oh, no, I can't remember it either. I'm not going to be able to help you with this, Allison.
Okay, well, whatever. She worked her way up the ladder and made these decisions, crossed these moral lines, and why. And that was the part I had to fill in and figure out why. And for me, I had to assume that it was some financial strain she was under, and that would have caused her maybe some humiliation. I think she's a very proud woman. And so I had to put that sort of together in my own mind and figure out the why of it and make her a real person. Because on paper, it doesn't make sense. How could someone who worked that hard to get to where she was make such bad decisions? So that was the biggest challenge. It's funny, I've gotten to play in the last couple of years a lot of people who real life characters, and I have never gotten to meet any of them to confer with them on why they, or get to ask them, why did you do that? Why did you make that decision? What was the first time you crossed the line, and why did you cross it? And Hugh did neither for his character. He didn't get to. So we just sort of, you kind of, in some ways, you approach it like you would a fictional character. You have to fill it up with yourself and make them human, because no matter how awful the deed, everybody is human, and you have to find that side of them, and the trick is to not to judge what they did, but figure out how they justified it for themselves, and that's the challenge. The fun, I find that really fun, though, to delve into that. Just now you're making me, I can't believe I can't remember. Oh my God. I'm having a brain fart.
No, it's all right.
I'm having a pandemic brain fart. I'm serious. Associate District.
It's a long title. It's a very long title, yeah. Allison, what do you think what do you think was the scene that was sort of the most important one for you as Pam?
The one that was the most challenging and most difficult scene for me was the one with Hugh's character, Frank Tassone, when all of the board, they had discovered that through Pam's son, who had been spending all this money using the Roslyn School District credit card to do Pam's renovations on her house and going to all the Home Depots or whatever throughout, entire, all of Long Island. And someone was like, why is someone, using the Roslyn School District credit card out in, Sag Harbor or Montauk for, and so that was a, what was the question?
It was what was the most important scene for Pam and for you
So
playing?
when she's in the room with the board and Hugh, and they're accusing her of this, and she's kind of trying to have a silent conversation with Hugh's character, like, are we together on this? Are you throwing me under the bus, or are you going to save me if I say that I did this? That was the trickiest scene, and because it was a huge betrayal, possibly a huge betrayal, but I think Pam wanted to believe that somehow he was going to make it right, that if I confessed to this, that they wouldn't find out the rest of it or something. And that was pretty difficult to do over and over again. Emotionally for me, that was very hard to do. And then, plus with, Ray Romano saying, when I admit that I'm a sick woman, and he goes, well, because I say there's no excuse for it. And he goes, well, the sociopathy.
Yeah.
I couldn't, Ray is just someone who makes me laugh all the time. So hearing him say that, I would just wanted to look at him and slap him for making me, because I couldn't obviously laugh in that moment, but Ray is so funny and so perfectly cast in that role. That was the most challenging scene for me. But hey, you know what? As I say that, I realized there was also the scene where I come home and have to, and I attack my son for having used the credit. He's the one who made the cookie crumble. Made everything. So that scene with the family. That was difficult to do because there's always so many. You're on location and you're in someone's home and the owners are in there and the house is small and there's not a lot of. As an actor, for me, I like to have to emotionally prepare myself for scenes like that, and to find the space you need to get in the headspace you need to be to do that scene over and over again. That was very. That's always the challenge for me as an actor is taking and finding the space you need and using whatever is around you to help you get to where you need to be and be free enough to trust yourself that you will get there. But it was very challenging, but I thought the score helped so much. I loved the music on Bad Education. I thought that created such tension, and a story that, when I first heard about it, I thought, that doesn't sound very interesting. Read the script about these teachers or these in a public school in Long Island, and I was like, that doesn't sound really exciting. And then I read the script, and it was jaw-dropping, what happened, and the layers of deception were remarkable. And I wish, and I think Pam Gluckin only passed away recently. I think 2017, I want to say. So she might have been alive when we were working on this movie, but I never got to meet her. But who knows? People, everyone, no matter how bad the character you play, they all. I don't think anyone wakes up and wants to think of themselves as a bad person. I think all characters justify it to themselves and say, hey, I needed Pam and Gluckin and Frank Tassone, Hugh Jackman's character, were working in a school district that had a lot of wealth in the community. And I think they maybe felt that they needed to reflect that in what they had, and maybe they said, I need to have a new car because I'm bringing more money into this community, and people are buying houses more here because the school is directly feeding students into the Ivy League. So why not? I think they somehow felt entitled, perhaps. This is just, these are all the kinds of things that Hugh and I were trying to imagine why they cross these moral lines.
Yeah. With and you had your 7th season on Mum this year, a series that's won you Emmy Awards. What was how do you come back to a show in its 7th season? What was fresh about this year? Like, where do you find the joy in the familiarity of Mum?
I think the writers continue to find great stories for these characters. They really, I mean, the Mom has changed so much from the beginning, and it's become about the relationships between these women, these amazing women, and their friendship and their bond in recovery. And this season was no different. We got cut short, of course, because of the pandemic, and I'm sorry we didn't get to see how they were planning to have our season finale, but I love that these women all come from so many different walks of life, and they're bonded by this recovery they're in, and their commitment to that, and I think I'm very fascinated to see how we're going to do going forward, because I don't see how you can't deal with what we're all dealing with right now, and I think of all the time all the people that are in recovery now, and they can't be in meetings, and they are doing Zoom meetings, and I'm thinking that Chuck and the writers will probably be addressing that in season 8 of Mom. But I have never tired of doing the show. I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud of the subject matter and the people that constantly come up and are so grateful for a show like Mom that talks about the things that a lot of other shows don't delve into, that we deal with, and feel like we give a lot of hope and to people and dealing with struggling with addictions, and we want to keep doing it for as long as we can.
What was for you the funniest moment in Mum from the last season?
Oh God, man, it's so funny. It's sitting here right now. I can't even remember what day it is.
Yeah.
What? I mean,
Yeah.
my God, as I try to sit here and think about the season, the last one we did, we were all going to a recovery retreat somewhere, and I couldn't even begin to tell you.
Who makes you laugh the most on Mum?
Anna's pretty funny. Anna and I have a great. I adore her, and we laugh a great deal together. But Jamie and Kristen Johnson, we've got a really great group of women, and we genuinely love and enjoy each other, and we've had a lot of silly moments. We've done a lot of, we call ourselves an indoor cat, because whenever we go outside and film on location, just everything goes wrong. But I think the last thing, when we were doing that retreat episode, when we went, we had to film outside. It was just pouring rain in LA. It never rains in LA, right? It's never supposed to. We were just, it was pouring rain, and everyone was cranky, and it was just hysterical seeing people people losing their shoes in the mud and swearing, and just we had a great time even through all of that, all the mud and the craziness. We managed to have a good time, and I think that just because you could hear it. Okay, sorry, I heard a really loud pitch. We managed to have fun no matter how difficult the circumstances are, the conditions. But I think I want to go on location in Napa Valley and shoot. I want to go I want to take season 8 all over, but who knows? I don't know what this new world we're entering into is
Yeah.
going to be like. Matt,
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's definitely a new landscape, and I don't think the writers we have are going to shy away from dealing with it and addressing it. And I want to,
Yeah.
and I want to do it with the, with laughter, and it's the best way to deal with any kind of difficult situation is to keep your sense of humor and can't believe I'm still in the back of my mind trying to think of
the roles. Like, oh, don't worry about it, Allison.
Assistant, associate, superintendent of business, assistant superintendent of business. Oh my God!
There you go. Oh, well, that's
Yes.
a victory. There you go, Allison. Well done.
Business, Pam Gluckin, and you thought I wasn't going to come up with it, Matt.
No, I'd let me of little faith. Allison, last time Chris talked with you for a Gold Derby, it was at the beginning of the Oscar season before you went on to win for I, Tonya. When you got to that actual night, how did it compare to how you thought it would feel?
I think when you grow up and you dream about winning an Oscar, it didn't feel. You know what the best part, that famous picture of Faye Dunaway after she won her Oscar, and I don't know who the photographer was, and she's sitting by the Beverly Hills Hotel pool with her Oscar in her bathrobe and the newspapers around her. That's genuinely the best moment of having something like that happen to you, because the moment leading up to it, the red carpet and the stress and the tension and the anxiety and it is a beyond a 10. It's an 11, as we say in Spinal Tap. It's an 11, and that is the craziest kind of stress I've ever been through. And then to actually win and go up there, and that is a whole nother level of, like, you're just floating, and it's more like after everything leading up to it, it's almost a relief hearing your name more than it is like it's just this, because you've been through so much and you go up there and it's amazing, but it's truly the next morning or when you wake up and you just have this wonderful feeling of, my God, what did I just go through? And that, I wish I had that. I kind of had that. Art Stryber took a great picture of me the next morning where I actually did a talk show at 6 a.m. after I'd won, sitting where all the press had been in the press room, holding my Oscar and just sitting there with my feet up, and it was a great. That was my kind of Faye Dunaway moment, but one of my favorites after it was all over. The whole everything that you go through is a lovely moment to have. So lucky.
Yeah, I got two more quick questions. First one is, when you won the Oscar, you thanked Joanne Woodward. You just quickly speak to the role she how she inspired you and encouraged you in acting.
She's been, her role is it's because of her I feel like I am where I am today, because of her encouragement, because of her support, because of her taking a group of us young actors. And I met her when I was at Kenyon College, because her husband, Paul Newman, went to Kenyon College, where I went, and he directed, they built this beautiful new theater there, and he directed the first play in that beautiful new theater. And I met him there, and subsequently met Joanne. And she became my guardian angel. She said, you have to come to the neighborhood playhouse. She made sure I got in there, and then she got me into the actor's studio, and she created an actor. She thought of this funny name for us. We called ourselves the Actors Group of New York, and the acronym being agony. So perfect. It was so funny. And she just gave us so many opportunities to perform. You know, it's such a catch-22 in New York when you're starting out. You can't you can't get a job until you get an agent. You can't get an agent until you get a job. It's always this crazy catch-22. And Joanne provided us, just gave us opportunities to she created the company with us, and we put on showcases, and she directed us and things. And of course, agents managers would come because of Joanne's name. So she did so much for us and for me in particular, and encouraged me to sing, even though I knew I can't sing. And she said, yes, you can, and you will. And then I did a Broadway musical because of Joanne, and she just, because of her, she gave me the confidence to do what I never thought I would be able to do. And I will be forever grateful for her presence in my life, and for Paul's as well. They were my leg up, definitely.
That's so cool. Allison, just the last question. You've done so much the past year. You've had so many roles, from Oscar-winning roles, Emmy-winning roles, all that sort of stuff since your time on The West Wing, and such varied performances. What's a lesson you've taken from The West Wing that's informed your acting and the performances you approach now? That's
a great question. I wish I had a lot of time to think about the answer I would give you on that. But I think the stuff that I learned mostly was about respecting other actors and other people's time, and showing up on time, knowing your lines, because you were part of a team, and if you all weren't at the same level, you didn't want to be the person that would lower the bar. I learned, which is what I learned in the theater too, but especially in West Wing, the kind of dialogue that we had to learn with Aaron. Just, you had to know what you were doing, what you were saying, and be prepared. And that just continues to serve me well, and is always great advice for any young actor, is to do your homework and learn your lines, and show up on time, and be on set on time, and respect what everybody else has to do. And we really had to do that to make that show work and get the work done in time. And it's been that was one of my favorite experiences ever. I always remember moments of being on set and just being aware of how lucky I was, and those moments still resonate with me. I can still think about them and smile, because I felt so lucky to have landed in that pot of jam. Well, Allison, as CJ said in the show, we can all be better teachers, and we can also all be better learners. Thank you so much for talking with us today. All the best of luck for the Emmy Awards with Troop Zero, Kominsky Method, Mom, Bad Education. I know, we didn't talk about Kominsky. Oh my God. Yeah, we didn't talk about Kominsky. We didn't get a chance to talk about Troop Zero. I'm so sorry, Allison. That's all right. You've done too much this year to squeeze it all in. I'm a workaholic. I can't. I'm so happy when I'm working. I have to. But thank you, Matt. So all the best. Yeah, and people can go to goldderby.com where you can make your awards predictions. Okay. Allison, thanks so much.